Scientists discover an airplane on a mountain, but what they find inside shocks the world. When it comes to plane crashes and disappearances, perhaps we can never forget the tragic incident involving the Airbus A320 from the low-cost airline Germanwings, can we? On March 24, 2015, the Airbus A320 crashed in the French Alps between the Barcelonnette and Digne regions, while en route from Barcelona to Dusseldorf. The aircraft was carrying 144 passengers and 6 crew members. According to a report from The Telegraph, radar data showed the plane descending in altitude and speed before disappearing. French radio station Europe 1 quoted a witness saying, "The aircraft was flying lower than usual. This could have been the reason why the plane crashed into the Alps." However, this wasn't the only mysterious plane crash in human history involving a plane in the mountains. An emotional story of search and discovery has also been revealed by scientists from the Himalayas, where a cargo plane was finally found nearly 80 years after it went missing, carrying the fate of 13 people on that fateful flight in early 1945. The aircraft, which had taken off from Kunming, China, was headed to Arunachal Pradesh, a region located between Indian and Chinese territories. Due to poor weather conditions, the plane was pushed into treacherous mountainous terrain, and after that, no trace of the plane or its occupants could be found. However, later, Clayton Kuehls, an American explorer, became the key figure in the search. He was hired by the relatives of one of the missing passengers. Kuehl's expedition crossed hundreds of miles of forest, enduring harsh conditions for months, and tragically, 3 local guides sacrificed their lives to the cold while setting up camp in the frozen wilderness. In December 2021, they discovered the aircraft covered in snow, confirming that this was the long-lost plane, with its tail number visible. However, no traces of bodies were found inside the plane, only remnants of a horrific event that had once occurred. Bill Scherer, who had hired Kuehls and lived in New York, shared his emotions. "I am glad to know it was found. This is a heartbreaking story, but it also brings joy. I grew up without a father. My mother had to live with the grief, not knowing what had happened to my father. She faced many difficulties while raising me, just a 13-month-old baby at the time." It is known that previously, the disappearance of hundreds of U.S. military aircraft during World War II in areas like India, China, and Myanmar also occurred. Despite search efforts and various theories proposed, the exact causes of these disappearances remain a mystery that has not been fully unraveled to this day, and it continues to be a major enigma for humanity. As you can see, humanity is filled with mysteries that are hard to understand, isn't it? The discovery of planes missing for decades, even hundreds of years, are impressive findings that bring both sorrow and heartbreak as we learn about them. But this isn't all I want you to see in this video. For thousands of years, archaeologists have made many other fascinating and remarkable discoveries that are hard to erase from our minds. So, what are these discoveries? What makes them so special? Let's continue exploring together right now. 48. Coffins hidden deep in the mountain. At Mount Jiapu in Ximen County, Hunan Province, China, there is a famous temple named Jiapu Temple, which is over 1,000 years old. 300 years ago, a group of monks was seen quietly leaving during the night with 48 coffins. A forest ranger living near Mount Jiapu, Bang Lin, has had the opportunity to hear stories about these 48 mysterious coffins since he was a child. Over the decades, Bang Lin had been disappointed by only finding fake tombs. He had a companion, Long Xiu Ben, the curator of a museum in Ximen County. Long Xiu Ben believed that only a significant figure would have so many fake tombs. For example, Cao Cao, the hero of the Three Kingdoms period, had 72 tombs. It wasn't until the end of 1980, after a heavy snowstorm in Ximen County, that Bang Lin and his wife climbed the mountain and accidentally discovered an unusual phenomenon. Many areas around the melting snow slopes were clearing up quickly, accompanied by white steam. After digging about 3 feet, he heard the sound of a shovel hitting lime and blue bricks. At that point, he discovered a green and white pot with beautiful patterns. Bang Lin quickly contacted his friend Zi Ben to mobilize an archaeological team. After clearing the topsoil, a strange tomb was revealed. The tomb had 3 sections lying side by side. The tomb on the right had a well-preserved burial urn. The tomb in the middle, which Bang Lin unearthed, contained a green and white pot, which was actually an aquatic vase. Overall, the tomb had been severely damaged due to theft. The tomb inscription had a couplet, "Body wears the Big Dipper, head wears the three realms," a star that was only used by emperors. They also discovered carvings of dragons and phoenixes in the tomb, symbols reserved for kings. During the excavation, the team found a bronze medal with 4 characters, Feng Tiang Yu Jiao, inscribed. It turned out that the owner of the tomb was the monk Sang Wang Li Zi Cheng, who had led a people's uprising, overthrew Emperor Sung Trin, and ended the 267 years of the Ming dynasty. Li Zi Cheng, also known as Feng Tiang Yu, was considered a hero of the People's Revolt at the end of the Ming dynasty and the beginning of the Qing dynasty. He led the uprising to overthrow the Ming and declared himself emperor in the Forbidden City. However, later, the Manchu forces, in collusion with Wu Sangui, invaded China and established the Qing dynasty in 1644, overthrowing and destroying Li Zicheng's forces. Although he only occupied Beijing for 42 days and reigned as emperor for less than a day, according to Chinese customs, the dragon and phoenix patterns were still used in his tomb. Later archaeological excavations and historical records showed that Emperor Li Zicheng did not die at Mount Jiugong, as rumored, but escaped to Mount Jiapu. After his death, his subordinates, following the example of ancient emperors, created 48 fake tombs to prevent his tomb from being stolen. The 3-section tomb on Mount Jiapu that was uncovered this time is the actual burial site of Emperor Li Zicheng. At the end of the 20th century, the government built the Sang Wang Mausoleum on Mount Jiapu to commemorate him. Today it has become an important cultural and historical site in Hunan Province, China, and is also one of the largest royal cemeteries south of the Yangtze River. A 1,400-year-old queen's tomb holds timeless treasures. A treasure that astonished many in various ways, once symbolizing supreme status, was unearthed in the 1,400-year-old tomb of a mysterious woman from the medieval period. While it may seem like an ordinary object to modern eyes, back in 600 BC, when iron use was still in its early stages, this was a priceless, timeless treasure, especially with its design closely resembling those of today. The folding chair, with a frame size of 27.5 inches by 17.7 inches, is similar to the type of portable chairs we often use in gardens or take along on outdoor trips. The chair was buried with a woman believed to be in her 40s or 50s. Although her identity has not been revealed, the folding chair alone suggests she must have been a person of high social status in her community, someone privileged enough to be buried with a rare, specially crafted or imported item. Archaeologists also found traces of wood and leather among the rusted iron parts of the chair. It appears the woman was placed on this special throne before being laid to rest in the tomb. In fact, folding iron chairs have been found in a number of ancient tombs, but they are extremely rare and usually accompany other lavish burial items. It can be conclusively said that such an item must have had symbolic significance. The person buried here was likely a noblewoman, a lady of the realm, or someone of another high social rank, such as a priest or senior officer. The woman's tomb also contained numerous other treasures, including pearl necklaces, multicolored glass, a finely decorated belt with many ornaments, and a spinning tool. Among these items, a beautiful patterned glass bead helped scientists estimate the tomb's age. Researchers plan to take an X-ray of the folding chair to search for more clues, hoping to uncover the identity of its owner and perhaps shed light on the mysterious man buried nearby. Basement renovation leads to discovery of ancient Roman graves. In a basement renovation project near Paris, the homeowner discovered a set of human remains. This discovery led to the uncovering of an ancient cemetery with nearly 40 Roman-era tombs. After notifying the authorities, archaeological experts were sent to the site to conduct a survey and examination. They confirmed that some of the individuals buried there had been interred approximately 1700 years ago. The oldest tomb dates back to the 3rd century AD, during the Roman Empire. There are also 10 plaster coffins from the early rule of the Franks, a Germanic tribe, which spanned from around 476 to 750 AD. The youngest tomb dates back to the 10th century. This discovery suggests the cemetery was in use for about 700 years. Initially, archaeologists believed the site to be a medieval burial ground, as a 7th century chapel once stood in the area. Therefore, they were surprised when they found tombs from earlier periods. So far, the archaeologists have excavated 38 graves within an area of 560 square feet. The renovated house, where nearly 40 ancient tombs were discovered, sits in the Montconseil district of Corbeil-Essonnes, south of Paris. The area is believed to have once been the site of the medieval Notre-Dame de Champs church, but it turns out that it was originally home to an even older pagan temple. Most of the newly uncovered tombs were arranged in parallel rows. The remains were buried in an upright position inside rotted wooden coffins. However, 10 remains from the Merovingian period, which was ruled by the Franks, were placed in special plaster coffins arranged in a fan shape. Merovingian coffins found in other areas are occasionally decorated and often contain multiple individuals. However, the majority of the newly discovered coffins are undecorated, with each coffin containing the remains of only one person. The age of the oldest tombs suggests that these individuals were buried long before the medieval chapel was constructed. Currently, archaeologists are continuing to excavate and study the remains just uncovered. They will examine them in detail to determine the age, gender, health status, and diet of the individuals buried there. These discoveries provide not only insight into ancient history, but also raise new questions about the culture and lives of generations long gone. It is certain that this exploration will continue to reveal fascinating details about people who lived thousands of years ago. And who knows, there may be even more secrets waiting to be uncovered beneath the ground. 90,000-year-old knife, made from animal bone. Archaeologists recently discovered a knife made from animal bone that dates back to 90,000 years ago in Morocco. Remarkably, the structure of this knife has astonished researchers due to its sophisticated craftsmanship, indicating a high level of skill by ancient humans. The knife was found by Moroccan archaeologists in a cave along the northern coastal region near the Atlantic Ocean. It measures 5.1 inches in length and is believed to be made from the rib bone of a large mammal that lived during that period. Professor Bouzougar, an archaeologist at the National Institute of Archaeology in Morocco and the leader of the research team, stated that this discovery shows that the inhabitants of the caves in North Africa were capable of crafting intricate tools much earlier than previously believed, by as much as 40,000 years earlier than the extinction of the Neanderthals. This bone knife is considered the oldest tool belonging to the Ethiopian culture, a period known for the flourishing of stone toolmaking by the ancient inhabitants of North Africa during the Stone Age. However, with its finely crafted shape, this tool stands out significantly compared to others made in the southern Sahara region during the same time. This suggests that the ancient inhabitants of North Africa had more advanced material working skills than those in the south. Additionally, according to Dr. Sylvia Bello from the Natural History Museum in London, the discovery of this knife indicates that humans were already adept at producing highly crafted bone tools as far back as 100,000 years ago. Based on the shape and cutting edge of the knife, Dr. Sylvia believes that it was used to cut soft, elastic materials. Scientists have noted that the ability to craft complex tools from animal bones, a material that requires much higher skill than working with stone, demonstrates that nearly 100,000 years ago, Homo sapiens had already begun to develop advanced cognitive abilities and refined hand dexterity. The 20,000 treasure artifacts, full of gold, of the exiled emperor. In an excavation that has been ongoing for over a decade, scientists have unearthed more than 20,000 different treasures from the over 2,000-year-old tomb of Emperor Liu He, including a large amount of gold. Liu He was the 9th emperor of the Han Dynasty in China, reigning for only 27 days before being deposed by the Empress Dowager for his excessive indulgence. He was forced into exile, where he lived out the rest of his life and died at the age of 33. The tomb of Hai Hun Ho, the title given to him after his deposition, currently lies in Jiangxi. Archaeologists discovered this ancient tomb, dating back to 74 BCE in 2011, and the excavation is still ongoing. So far, 20,000 treasures have been removed, including large amounts of gold and other valuable artifacts. Preliminary research and statistical results from the Jiangxi Provincial Institute of Cultural Relics and Archaeology show that despite being exiled, Emperor Liu He remained incredibly wealthy. Among the valuable artifacts, which include many items made of gold, silver, bronze, and jade, archaeologists uncovered a broken lacquered screen in the main chamber. After restoration, 2 portraits were revealed, one of which is believed to be the oldest portrait of Confucius. More valuable than the gold and silver, however, were over 5,000 pieces of bamboo, which contained classic Confucian texts inscribed on bamboo slips. Even more priceless is a rare copy of the Lunyu, Analects of Confucius, which had been lost for thousands of years and was finally revealed among the chaotic bamboo pieces. Additionally, the tomb contained 5 well-preserved chariots, each accompanied by the remains of 4 horses that were sacrificed to honor the deceased emperor's status. Scientists remain hopeful of uncovering more treasures from this highly extravagant tomb and plan to conduct further studies on the astonishing artifacts already unearthed. These discoveries are expected to reveal countless fascinating and authentic details about ancient China. 1,000-year-old mummy, found in Peru. Archaeologists in Peru have uncovered a 1,000-year-old mummy at the Huacapuclana archaeological site, located in the heart of the bustling Miraflores district in Lima. Along with the mummy, several artifacts such as pottery and woven textiles were found. The mummy belongs to an adult with long hair, nearly intact jawbones, and is seated in a sitting position. According to Ganoza, the head archaeologist, this mummy is believed to date back to 1,000 years ago, from the early period of the Ixma culture, which thrived along the central coast of Peru before the Inca Empire emerged in the region. Previously, at the Huacapuclana site, archaeologists had discovered multiple mummies and ritual offerings, leading them to believe that many more scientifically valuable artifacts remain to be unearthed. Peru is home to several pre-Columbian cultures that flourished for centuries before the Inca Empire dominated areas along the central coast and the Andes Mountains. Experts say that Lima, with a population of about 10 million people, has approximately 400 archaeological sites scattered throughout its residential areas. They also believe that beneath the busy streets of Lima lies a treasure trove of historical artifacts. Archaeologists have already found many ancient mummies and ritual objects at Huacapuclana and hope to uncover even more mysteries in the area. Rare extinct animal bones, found in ancient royal tomb. Chinese archaeologists have discovered the first complete skeleton of a giant panda in the tomb of a Han Dynasty emperor, dating back over 2,000 years. The tomb is located in the city of Xi'an, in Shanxi Province, China. According to researchers, the animal may have been sacrificed and buried with Emperor Han Wendi in 157 BCE as a symbol of power and status. The skull of the panda was previously found in another Han Dynasty tomb, but the body bones of the animal were only discovered alongside the tomb in this instance. However, this marks the first time a complete panda skeleton has been found buried in such a manner. The burial of the giant panda alongside the emperor is believed to symbolically represent the animal escorting Emperor Han Wendi, who reigned from 180 to 157 BCE, to the afterlife. Hu Songmei, an archaeologist at the Shanxi Archaeological Institute, stated that this is the first time a complete panda skeleton has been found in the tomb of an emperor. She added that while archaeologists had previously found the panda's skull in the tomb of Emperor Han Wendi's mother in 1975, no traces of the body were discovered. In addition, archaeologists have uncovered many types of wild animals in the royal tombs of Shanxi Province. They believe this practice was symbolic of the status of Han emperors. Hu's team also found the skeleton of an Asian elephant in the tomb, a rare and now extinct species in China, which disappeared about 1,000 years ago and is currently listed as endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Tigers and Tibetan oxen were also found buried with the emperor. Meanwhile, the tomb of the emperor's mother contained the remains of red-crowned cranes, peacocks, proboscis monkeys, and turtles. Previously, archaeologists discovered an extinct species of gibbon in the tomb of Empress Xia, the grandmother of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. According to experts, rare wild animals were typically found only in the tombs of emperors, empresses, and the mothers of emperors. Some of these animals may have been ritual offerings from southern China. Hu believes that the presence of so many pandas in Shanxi during the Han Dynasty indicates that the climate in the province was once warmer and more humid than it is today, which would have created favorable conditions for the growth of bamboo. Archaeologists plan to conduct DNA analysis of these animals to determine where they came from and what types of food they consumed. Ruins of the Sun Temple. The mysterious world of the pharaohs continues to be revealed as one of the 6 legendary sun temples appears in the real world, hailed as the greatest archaeological discovery in Egypt in the past half-century. According to legend, during the 5th dynasty, Egyptian pharaohs built 6 sun temples to honor the sun god Ra and to grant themselves divine status. Unlike the pyramids, these sun temples, dating back to the 25th century BCE, were buried by the desert. It was only in the last century that the first 2 sun temples were brought to light. However, for the past 50 years, the locations of the other 4 great temples remained elusive, despite extensive searches throughout the desert region that the 5th dynasty once ruled. In fact, 50 years ago, when excavating the ancient temple of Niuser at Abu Ghora, archaeologists discovered an older mud brick foundation, indicating the existence of another structure. But because the discovery of the Niuser temple was so significant, no further exploration of the older foundation was conducted, although a white limestone column base was found. Recently, an international archaeological team accidentally found a clay-coated stela, an offering made by the Egyptians at their most sacred sites. As a result, excavation work continued, revealing clear evidence of a 5th dynasty structure. This dynasty lasted for about 150 years, from the early 25th century BCE to the mid-24th century BCE, and was a period of great prosperity. The ruins have been identified as one of the 6 legendary sun temples, featuring a large courtyard and a tower aligned with the east-west axis of the sun, with separate entrances and exits, located along the banks of the Nile River. 7,500-year-old largest observatory in Europe. Archaeologists have uncovered a Neolithic stone circle complex in Spain, similar to the famous Stonehenge Observatory, but much larger and older. The site consists of thousands of individual stones, most of which are standing upright, stretching over a vast area of 1,500 acres, covering an entire hillside. Some of the largest stones stand alone, while others are arranged to form tombs, mounds, stone circles, walls, and straight rows, creating an extremely complex site that scientists have named La Torre la Llanera. This is one of the largest Neolithic stone circle complexes ever excavated in Europe, and it is possibly the largest of its kind. Huge stone circles like Stonehenge, the famous 4,500-year-old stone circle in England. But Stonehenge is much smaller. Stonehenge also shows signs of being a gathering place for rituals, with human remains and indications that the stones were arranged in alignment with certain celestial patterns, suggesting it could have been one of humanity's earliest astronomical observatories. The new structure in Spain was first discovered in 2018 when land was being excavated to prepare for planting avocados. Archaeologists spent several years excavating the vast and unexpected complex, as well as learning more about it. Radiocarbon dating results show that the oldest stones of this expanded Stonehenge were erected 7,500 years ago and had multiple complex purposes. Some stones were erected later, dating to 3,000–4,000 years ago. Of the thousands of stones, 520 are upright megaliths, most of which belong to the oldest group. Some stones form prominent roofed tombs, while others are arranged like burial chambers, and scientists hope to find human remains as they continue excavations. Mystery village beneath ancient lake. Deep beneath the turquoise waters of Lake Ohrid, known as the Pearl of the Balkans, a village has recently been discovered by scientists. This is likely the site of the earliest known settlement in Europe, but the reason it was hidden inside a fortification of wooden stakes remains a question that scientists are still working to answer. According to archaeologists, a stretch of the Balkan lakeshore in Albania was once inhabited by people around 8,000 years ago. The village, with its raised wooden houses, has become the oldest village ever discovered in Europe. Radiocarbon dating indicates that the settlement dates back to about 6,000 to 5,800 BCE. Professor Albert Hafner, an archaeologist, suggests that this village is several hundred years older than other settlements found along the Mediterranean coast and the Alpine region of Europe. For us, this is the oldest village in Europe. Other villages considered the oldest have been discovered in the Alps in Italy and date back around 5000 BCE. The settlement is believed to have been home to around 200 to 500 people, living in stilt houses built on the surface of the lake or in areas prone to flooding. In the course of archaeological excavation, the research team discovered some astonishing secrets. During a dive to the bottom of the lake, they found evidence that the settlement was protected by thousands of flat wooden stakes arranged like a fence. To protect themselves this way, they had to cut down an entire forest. However, the reason the villagers built such a sturdy defense remains unknown. It is estimated that around 100,000 stakes were planted at the lake's bottom. Lake Ohrid is one of the oldest lakes in the world, having existed for over 500,000 years. Thanks to skilled divers, archaeologists can search for artifacts at the lake's bottom and have uncovered many fossilized wood fragments and valuable oak pieces. Analyzing the tree rings has helped the research team reconstruct the daily life of the residents. This provides valuable insights into the climate and environmental conditions of the time. Researchers believe that building the stilt village was a very complex and challenging task, and importantly, we still don't know why the inhabitants chose to build in this way. Initial speculation suggests that the people may have relied on agriculture, farming, and animal husbandry for food, as the research team found various types of seeds, crops, and numerous bones of both wild and domesticated animals. This prehistoric site is of crucial importance for understanding the history, not only of this region, but also of the entire southwestern Europe. Strange earth lump emits a highly valuable fragrance. Mr. Roberto Bertoluso, who lives in the town of Alba in the Piedmont region of northeastern Italy, was out for a walk in the forest with his beloved dog. It was a usual walk, just like any other, but this time something unusual happened. His dog suddenly ran to the base of an oak tree and started enthusiastically digging in the ground. After a while, Roberto's dog uncovered a lump of earth with a strange shape. Observing that the dog was sniffing the object as if it were attracted to it, Roberto decided to check it out. When he picked up the unusual lump, it emitted a distinct and strong fragrance. Its uniqueness left him amazed, and he believed it was something special. So he wrapped it up and took it home for further investigation. Roberto later contacted a well-known restaurant in the area to ask experts for a test. After carefully examining the object, the chefs confirmed that it was indeed the famous white truffle. This rare mushroom is typically found in luxury restaurants, and each pound of it can be worth several $100,000 or even $1 million. When Roberto learned this, he was shocked to find such a treasure in the forest during the day. It is known that there have been many truffle auctions worldwide. In one auction in 2021, an 1.83 pounds white truffle sold for over $110,000. A few years ago, 11 white truffles from Alba, Italy, weighing about 2.2 pounds, were sold for around $320,000. Truffles are often called mysterious mushrooms because there are no obvious signs to tell humans they exist, as they are hidden deep in dark soil layers. For a long time, the French have praised truffles as the diamond of the kitchen. Many believe that truffles have an addictive quality due to their enticing fragrance. People have tried to describe truffles as having a slightly musty smell, like garlic, with hints of earth, onions, meat, or even the scent of a lover's body. This demonstrates that truffles are one of the most expensive mushrooms in the world and are considered a drug in the culinary world. One 800-year-old emperor's ancient tomb palace. A ceramic item resembling a basin has helped Chinese scientists identify a mysterious area containing over 100 ancient tombs they excavated, which turned out to be an unimaginable archaeological treasure. The basin, with a diameter of about 24 inches and a depth of 10 inches, was engraved with special inscriptions, helping to identify the owner of the mysterious ancient tombs in Henan Province, China. The tombs belong to Emperor Liu Ji of the Han Dynasty, also known as Emperor Huan of Han, who ruled during the 2nd century CE. Dr. Wang Xianqiu from the Institute of Cultural Relics and Archaeology in Luoyang, who led the excavation project, stated that this discovery allowed them to connect many ancient texts and other evidence found at the tomb site, confirming the noble owner of the tomb complex and revealing that what they found was an unimaginable archaeological treasure, a lavish palace built exclusively for the deceased. The ancient tomb complex was first discovered in 2017. Since then, archaeologists have found over 100 tombs. More remarkably, this complex is part of a large complex with many houses, roads, wells, drainage systems, and numerous luxurious items. Even the scientists were surprised when finding a simple ceramic basin during the excavation, which changed the entire direction of the search. The fact that the tomb's owner was an emperor indicated that the complex was a palace built solely for the deceased, with houses meant for concubines, guards, and tomb managers. These individuals would also be buried there after death to continue serving the emperor in the afterlife. Emperor Huan of Han, Liu Ji, had a short life, passing away at the age of 35. It is believed that the unique ancient tomb palace was built by his successor for him. Dead Vlei, the Dead Swamp. In the Namib Naukluft Park in the Namib Desert, there exists a gigantic graveyard of dead trees known as Dead Vlei. The name Dead Vlei comes from two languages, English and Dutch. It translates to a dead swamp. At Dead Vlei, all we can see are the remnants of dry, dead trees. An ancient legend says that two gods fought each other, and the victorious god created towering sand dunes surrounding Dead Vlei, cursing the land to never see life again. Due to this curse, for the past 900 years, almost no living creature has been able to survive in Dead Vlei. However, many believe this is just a fictional tale. From a geological perspective, the sandstone platform is surrounded by the tallest sand dunes in the world, ranging from 1,150 to 1,112 feet high. The dust of this clay pan was formed when the Sashab River overflowed and flooded the area. This created shallow waters, ideal conditions for acacia trees and camel thorn trees to grow and thrive. But around 900 to 1,000 years ago, the area went through a severe drought. The shifting sand dunes gradually moved toward the pan, blocking the river's flow. Groundwater dried up, and the rain wasn't enough to soak into the ground. Trees are rare to find in the desert, but instead, there are unique oases. Sometimes, the water sources in the desert dried up to the point where even signs of life disappeared, and the trees withered from a lack of water. Only a few plant species survived, thanks to morning fog or rare rainfall. The skeletons of the acacia trees are estimated to have been dead for more than 900 years. Despite this, their twisted branches with wrinkled bark still stand tall against the occasional winds sweeping through the desert. Contrary to what we might think, the trees didn't become fossils. Although their organic materials have gradually been replaced by minerals, they were instead burned by the sun, turning black as coal. The area is so dry that even the wood cannot decompose. Therefore, it could be said that the trees in Dead Vlei were dried out rather than fossilized. Nevertheless, life still exists in Dead Vlei. There are beetles, spring hares, ostriches, antelopes, and a few other animals. The survival of these animals and plants is made possible by the morning mist that sweeps in from the Atlantic Ocean, miles away. One undeniable fact is that Dead Vlei attracts many photographers who are willing to endure a difficult and challenging journey just to capture stunning and mesmerizing images of this majestic place. Ancient 13-ton supermonster remains. Israeli archaeologists have recently uncovered an incredible fossilized tusk measuring 8.2 feet in length, the remains of an ancient creature known as the straight-tusked elephant, which went extinct 400,000 years ago but was a close ancestor of modern elephants. However, even when standing next to an elephant, especially the largest African elephants, this ancient creature would still appear as a super monster with a height of up to 13 feet, a weight of 13 tons, and tusks extending 8.2 feet. Modern elephants, which include African elephants and Asian elephants, weigh around 13,200 pounds for African elephants and around 6,600 to 8,800 pounds for Asian elephants. Despite its grandeur, this massive tusk is now being handled by paleontologists with great care, as it could experience a phenomenon akin to evaporating into the sky from fairy tales. Despite being intact for hundreds of thousands of years, the tusk could immediately begin to decompose if exposed to light and air. According to a research team led by the Israel Antiquities Authority and Tel Aviv University, these super monsters inhabited the area for approximately 800,000 years before suddenly going extinct 400,000 years ago. The specimen found is estimated to be 500,000 years old and is the largest complete fossilized tusk ever excavated in Israel and the entire Near East. Dr. Ionir Milevsky from the Israel Antiquities Authority stated that during an archaeological excavation a few years ago, they found various bones, including parts of a skull, ribs, and teeth, along with human-made artifacts such as axes and cutting tools. The discovery of the tusk, completely separated from the skull, led scientists to suspect that ancient humans, likely a different species, as Homo sapiens had not yet appeared, hunted and killed this super monster and its kin. This suggests that the site could be a treasure trove of archaeological secrets waiting to be unraveled by scientists and archaeologists. The Sleeping Beauty's grave in the forest. Recently, archaeologists have uncovered a 2,000-year-old tomb belonging to the Sleeping Beauty of the forest. Thought to only exist in fairy tales, the ancient tomb was found after 2 weeks of excavation in the ancient city of Aksum, now located in Ethiopia, along with exquisite artifacts dating back to the 1st and 2nd centuries. The woman was found lying on her side, resting her chin on her hand, with an impressive copper ring on her finger. She was buried with her face turned toward a Roman-style mirror, a sign that she may have been an exceptionally beautiful woman in life, admired by many. Along with the mirror, cosmetics and valuable jewelry were also buried with her. During the excavation, her remains were well preserved, likely because the people of that time had found a way to preserve bodies for burial. The Aksumite dynasty, whose capital was the ancient city of Aksum, was a powerful force in northern Ethiopia during the early Christian era, lasting from approximately 100 to 940 AD. The dynasty peaked in the 1st century and played a central role in the trade route connecting the Roman Empire with ancient India. Aksum was also the city of the legendary Queen of Sheba and the heart of the Aksumite civilization, one of the greatest ancient civilizations of the world. Aksum ruled the Red Sea coast until the end of the 9th century. Timeless treasure, 3,300-year-old discovery. Recently, a digger working at the Palmachim Beach National Park in Israel accidentally uncovered a tomb that archaeologists have referred to as a time capsule. The term time capsule is commonly used by archaeologists to describe special discoveries where part of the ancient world is preserved intact and orderly, just as it once was. The archaeological treasure found at Palmachim Beach National Park is a prime example of this. This timeless tomb contains numerous distinctive artifacts placed in accordance with ancient burial rituals from 300 years ago. It was intricately built by carving into the rock to create a cave, where ancient people placed valuable ceramic and bronze items to serve the afterlife of the deceased. While the tomb shows signs of having been looted, the artifacts are still arranged relatively neatly, much like they were during the ancient burial rituals. Ancient pottery is one of the types of treasures that scientists highly value, as it often provides extensive details about the craftsmanship of the local people from that period, the cultural traits, and even interesting rituals or customs, as expressed through carvings or ancient inscriptions. The pottery found in this tomb includes traditional two-handled jars, deep bowls, shallow bowls, footed cups, some of which were imported from the coast of Lebanon, and others from Tyre, Sidon, and other ancient ports along the coast of Lebanon and Israel. Thus, they also represent a snapshot of ancient commerce. Dr. Eli Yanai from the Israel Antiquities Authority, IAA, said, "The items in the cave date back to the 13th century BC, the end of the Late Bronze Age 2B. During this period, under the rule of Pharaoh Ramses II of Egypt, the Egyptian Empire controlled Canaan, providing safe conditions for international trade. In addition, the tomb also contains other valuable artifacts such as lamps, bronze arrowheads, and human remains, stored in 2 rectangular compartments at the corner of the cave. The number of burial items in the tomb could be even greater, before it was disturbed by tomb robbers. However, the tomb robbery likely occurred centuries ago, after which the cave was sealed and remained undisturbed during recent periods. This provides a great opportunity for scientists to apply modern scientific methods to extract information from the artifacts as well as any remaining organic materials. Despite this, scientists believe that the tomb still offers enough to provide a timeless, complete picture of the customs and rituals of the Late Bronze Age. Science doesn't just stand still. Thanks to the most advanced technology, archaeologists and scientists are making many exciting discoveries that humanity had never imagined before. Among these are priceless treasures, intriguing and terrifying mysteries about the universe and Earth, and tombs with chilling secrets. All of these have been uncovered by scientists and archaeologists. What are your thoughts on these mysteries? Feel free to leave a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on more fascinating discoveries. For now, goodbye, and see you next time.